Oh, it's so great to be here.
Yes, feels like home, right?
It does. It does. All
All
right.
right.
Great.
So I'll be jumping off. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's all yours.
All right. So let me see. I need to share my PowerPoint. So here we are, right? And I'm so happy to be here today. First of all, Artem, and here with everyone. And if you have questions, put them in the chat box. And I hope to hope we have some, bit of a good discussion here. So today, like for my talk, what we're talking about is vision storytelling and its connection to creating a great culture. And I'm very sort of practical. So what is vision storytelling really? And how do we go about doing it, right? Inquiring minds want to know. So here's a little bit about me, right? And you can go back to this slide if you need to, but I've been doing this a long time and I love it. And so let's get started with the actual content, right? So why do companies need a vision in the first place? And it's because a vision is really critical to growing a strong culture. Visions and vision stories act in an organization like glue and like a web and like light. So in terms of a web, a vision connects people together for a common cause, right? In terms of glue, it also binds people together around that. And it serves as light, right? So that we are moving right into a positive future. And this was coined, these three things, web, light, and glue, by Ella Saltmarsh in an article. And if anybody needs that article, just send me an email. My contact information is at the end of this presentation, or you can say something in the chat box and I'll try to get it to you. All right. So it creates a very strong culture. And then it also helps create strategies, forms and informs decision-making, and also builds reputation. So ideally, you want to use a vision in an organization to help you create the strategies, your 1, 2, 3, 5-year strategy, and also for on-the-ground decision-making when you're making decisions around the organization. Now, you can think of this either as your own company or also as any of your client companies or the company that you might work for. Also, having a great vision builds your reputation. Like Disney's vision is happiness for millions. Well, we know they have a great reputation as a part of that. We've known since the 1950s, research that happened way back then, that visions are really important in employee engagement, right? Keeping people engaged in the organization and its activities, to enhance and improve employee satisfaction, and also it helps with employee motivation. And this, I think, the best book that sort of captures how vision is so critical for all of these functions in an organization is the book Built to Last by James Collins and Jerry Porras. And so you might want to check a look in that. It's all documented, lots of data-driven results there that sort of prove my points. But also, having a strong vision allows you to recruit new staff, new people, new workers into the organization. And a good example is the company Patagonia, which creates outdoor wear for hiking, climbing, anything that you want to do outdoors. And their vision is so strong about the environment and how they help the world and how they help people help the environment, that it's a very desirable place to work. And they include their vision in creating their strategies, in their on-the-ground decision-making. It's improved their reputation, and they have high employee engagement, satisfaction, and motivation. Oh, the other thing about motivation that came out of the 1950s is that numerous studies proved again and again that what really motivates employees are basically three things. One is having agency over the work. In other words, being able to decide in their own ways how they're going to get their work done. Right? So no micromanaging. So they have direction, right? They have their own inner direction for getting their work done. And then the second one is they want to be able to learn and grow in their position. And then the last is being a part of something greater than themselves. Of course, and that's what a vision provides. So employee motivation is activated by all those three things. And then, of course, if you have a great vision that helps you do all these things, 1 through 7 or 8, right? If you include recruiting, that's a little mistake there. Then you will have impact both in the marketplace and in the community. And what's not to love about that? So let's go. But here's the problem. Most companies do not have an inspiring vision. Now, it's getting better, right? So over the years, many companies now are actually creating and living inspiring visions, but it didn't always used to be this way. And most of the companies that I work with still do not have an inspiring vision. What they do have is confusion between a mission and a vision. And many have a mission, but it's not an inspiring vision. So if they have a vision, it's more about them. It's internally focused, right? Something along the lines of we are the best at what we do. Like the company American Express, right? Their vision is we work hard every day to make American Express the world's most respected service brand. Well, okay, so it's all about them. Not anything about how it impacts or makes a difference in people's lives or the world in general, right? So many visions that companies create are internally driven. It's all about them, instead of a vision that has and shares a positive impact they have on the marketplace or the audience. So a good example is Tom's shoes. A vision, it needs to be visual in some way, right? It creates a picture in our minds of some future that we want to move towards. A vision can last 100 years, but mainly it's when you continually aspire to. And again, as I said before, it guides culture and strategy, decisions, and branding. And Tom's Shoes example is this. Tom's Shoes. Now, this is an American company. You might be familiar with them. You might not be. They are in many different countries, but it's a shoe company. And Tom's Shoes gives shoes to every school child in Argentina to improve lives and improve communities, giving these children an opportunity in life that translates to better societies. Very clear. This is what we do. This is why. This is the impact it's going to have. Now, they could decide at any point to switch out Argentina for another country, right? Or to just leave Argentina out altogether, right? And have it be global, right? But that shows how durable this vision is. And their mission, right, is much more about the products and services they provide and the customers that they serve. And the great thing about mission is that it changes as the times change, right? Or as the marketplace changes. And it's always achievable. It operates more like a goal. So, for example, for Tom's shoes, every pair of Tom's shoes purchased online or at retail, the company will provide a pair to a child in need. It's called 1 for 1. So that's their mission. A little different than their vision, right? Mission is more, as I said, about the products and services they provide to whom. So I hope this clears up a little bit about the difference between mission and vision. But I will say that there is one forgotten truth about vision storytelling, is that companies take action, really, and co-create the result of their vision together with their customers. So most companies, they create a vision for themselves and maybe hopefully for the world, hopefully, that other people and customers can get excited about. But then they forget that actually it's the relationship between the company and their customers that allows that vision to become manifest. And so most companies miss this. And so my point here is to make sure that you include your customers in your vision stories, maybe actually in the process of you creating a vision, right? And so that's one little piece I think that could make a big difference for everyone and every organization. Yeah, never forget your customers. They're why you are doing all the work that you're doing. So bring them into the process and bring them into the stories that you share. All right, so, where are you with your vision? Or maybe think of a client that you're working with, and where are they with their vision, right? Or maybe you are in an organization and your organization has a vision, or maybe has thought about a vision. So, where are you in this process? Like, for example, right? When I think of myself, what's my mission? Well, I do a lot of coaching and training with leaders in agile storytelling and communication skills so that they can achieve extraordinary results together, right, with others. So that's more the mission, right? But my vision is together. In doing so, we create a future that excites, inspires, and empowers humanity. So if you think about your own vision and mission for your work, for your life, where are you? Maybe for your organization, maybe for a client. So how do you test an organization's vision to see if it needs upgrading or some work, right? So think of an organization that inspires you. And right this minute, just kind of think about an organization that really inspires you. Yeah. Who is that? What is that organization? And once you have that image in your mind, that organization that inspires you, right? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if that organization has a vision. And then raise your hand if you remember that organization's vision. And then raise your hand if you're inspired by that organization's vision. And then raise your hand if you think that organization's vision could use a little work. So when I run this test in workshops that I do, many people could say, oh yeah, our organization has a vision, or an organization I'm thinking of, they do have a vision. Many people can't remember the vision because it's not memorable, and that means it's not inspiring. And so they have trouble being inspired by the organization's vision, and very often a lot of hands go up when with the last question. They say, well yeah, our organization's vision could use a little work. So I hope this makes sense to you. right? And yeah, so what else? I'm reading the chat, right, to make sure that if there are any questions or comments right now, I can address them before we get going on other parts of the presentation here. Yeah, Tom's shoes is one reason why you actually started buying their shoes. Yeah, you're proving my point. And Adel asks, I'm right in assuming that this was a small group. The smaller the group, the more impact one negative person has. What was the bottom line of the person's negativity? Oh, that's for Mary Alice. Okay. We're good. It's all right so far. All right. So let's see. Let's continue on. But you can use this test whenever you need to, right? If you're working in an organization, even around a team, right, you can do that. And if your own personal vision, you can ask people, right, and use this test. So it can be very helpful. Now, I've also included a tool for you all, which is about crafting your vision. It's very simple, 3 how-to methods for individuals or groups. Like if you need a personal vision or mission, you can use any of these 3 methods to come up with that. Or you can use it for a team, or you can use it organization-wide. And so that tool is available, and it includes, right, the number 2 here on appreciative inquiry. That tool. It's an interview method for creating a vision. If you are familiar with appreciative inquiry, it's a very, very powerful process that engages people in the process. You collect the best thinking from them of the process, and or what you're interviewing about, in this case, a vision. And it allows you to gather all this material and then make sense of it and craft a vision with everybody's participation. So it's a great tool, and that's included in the Crafting Your Vision tool. All right. Oh, great. Mary Alice, you just shared on AI before you. That's cool. And so, all right, cool. Thanks for your comments, Mary Alice. So bottom line, you can have a successful vision on paper, but it doesn't mean anything unless you communicate it. So having a successful vision is all about how you communicate it. And that means it's all about the stories you share. So let's look at the storytelling part of vision storytelling. Now we've talked about the vision piece. Let's go into the storytelling piece. So what stories anchor and convey the vision, right? We want to know that question. I'm sure you want to know that question. Because you see, vision storytelling is not one story. And that's another mistake that most people make. Vision storytelling is the set of stories you tell about your vision, or the team's vision, or the organization's vision, depending on where you are and what you're actually doing in your work, where you are in your work. So let's talk about vision stories. What are they? If we're talking about the set of stories you need to be equipped with to convey your vision in powerful ways. So the first one is just your vision story. Right? Now, this is, most people say, oh, my vision story, here, let me share with you the vision that I've written out, right? Well, no, that's only a piece of it. The vision story is, of course, what the vision is, but it's also why the organization decided on this vision. Of all the visions you could have chosen, why this one? And also the future that you want to create, right? Like when American Express says, we work hard every day to make American Express the world's most respected service brand, it's like, for what purpose? Right? What difference is that going to make? Right? We want to know. we are very clear about Tom Shu's vision and the difference that they want to make, right? And again, this is often a piece that's left off of visions and parts of vision storytelling. So when the company Life is Good says, well, our vision is to spread the power of optimism, yes, so that what happens? Right? And so you get my point here with the vision story. And so that's what the vision story is all about. Now, there are some other stories that are also important to tell. One is your commitment story. Like, what does this vision personally mean to me? Because if you're asking other people, staff or customers, anybody in the world, to connect and be a part of your vision, then why should they commit to your vision unless they know why you are personally committed, right? What that means to you. And this is really, really critical in an organization, because if individuals cannot connect with the vision, and very rarely are they ever asked to, by the way, but if you ask somebody, well, what does this vision personally mean to you, right? They can make that connection. They go, oh, so that's why, right, I find this vision inspiring. Right? As a leader, if you don't share why you're committed to this vision, right, then how can you ask anybody else to be committed to it? It's as simple as that. So, an important story. Another really critical story are your people and results stories. Like, how is your organization, or how are your customers, how are your staff, how are your vendors, how are they taking action on the vision, and what has happened because they have, right? So it's people and the results that they've experienced because they are actually implementing or taking action on that vision. Now, there's also vision and action stories. Like, this is when you catch staff and vendors and customers living the visions. Like, what projects are you working on that that are fulfilling your vision? And what's the story you can tell about that? There are also lessons learned story. Hey, we thought we'd fulfill our vision by doing X, but we learned Y, and we had to make a pivot in how we lived our vision. That builds trust, by the way, when you can share those lessons learned story, and makes you seem much more real. And then there's also the backstory. This is how the company crafted the vision, the process that we used. And again, this is often a forgotten story or an unrecognized story, but it can be very powerful because people always want to know, right? The backstory of, well, how did you come to this vision, and how did you create it? Right? So that makes a nice little set of stories here. But what stories do you focus on first? Well, for sure, the vision story, right? What it is and why your organization decided on that one. The commitment story, about why you're personally committed to it. And the people and results stories. Here's what's happened, right? As we worked on our vision, here are the people, here are the results that we've experienced or they've experienced. That is so true. Lessons learned stories take courage as some vulnerability is involved, right? So you want to pick and choose the spots, right? When you tell that vision story, those lessons learned story. It's best when you have a relationship already going with that person or a group of people or a team, right? And that makes it a little easier, but you'll know when to tell those lessons learned stories. So before I go on, any questions about, yeah, right, some psychological safety is required. So true, Adel, yes. All right, any other questions before we go on? All right. So, what kinds of story patterns can we use? Right. Well, there are many, right? There are 100 ways to tell a story, but to get you started, let me offer you at least 2. Right? And hopefully this will spark your imagination and give you more ideas, right? And whoever you're working with, yourself or a team or an organization, this will sort of give you more ideas for how it can happen. So the first vision story pattern is pretty easy. Right, here's the setting, the context. Here's our innovation and how we're different. So this is who we are and what we do today, but this is how we're different in the world. And this is the future we are creating, the difference we want to make, or the difference we are making. Here are our efforts, here's our goal, and this is what we're doing now, our first steps to achieve this vision. And this is how we persevere, right? To make sure that we actually are living our vision. So this is our promise to you and to ourselves, right? And then there's a close, there's a key message that you deliver, there's some wrap up, and then sometimes there's a call to action along the lines of, oh, and we hope you join us, right, in making this vision a reality. So that's one idea. Second idea comes from Nancy Duarte and her book. The book is on the next page, I think. Yes, Resonate. She has 3 books. So it's like, so the structure goes like this. Well, here's the context. Right? In the developing world, law enforcement has broken down, right? So a few words about the context. But this is what could be, right? Here's the opportunity, right? It doesn't have to be this way. We can make a change. We can have it be different. This is what the difference would look like. And the new bliss or the why, right? When we do that, right, this is what we'll be able to do. Or in this case, our grandchildren will ask us and we'll be able to confidently say, yes, we did do something and we fixed it. Right? And then maybe the first steps and the call to action or the invitation. Right? Won't you join us? And this is what it looks like when you add repetition into that basic pattern. Right? And again, this is from her book, Resonate. And so you start out, well, this is what is, this is the context, but this is what could be, but this is what is, but this is what could be, but this is what is, this is what could be, and this is what is, right? But if we switch this around, this is what the new bliss would be, right? And so join us, right? Let's cross that threshold together to make the commitment to do something, right? So hopefully that gives you another idea. Oh, can you give an example of a vision in action? Yes, I think the best example of that would be Nike. And if you go on YouTube and look at some of the Nike videos, they have lots of examples of how, let me say what Nike's vision is first. Bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world, right? And if you have a body, you are an athlete. So there are examples on the Nike YouTube channel about how a person either became an athlete or bested their own, personal goal, and how, Nike was usually, some part of that. They wore Nike sneakers or what have you. But it's the challenge they faced and how they overcame that. And they are an athlete. And so I think that there are, some really great stories there. Now, another example would be, it's a generic one where a company is saying, this is our vision, right? This is our commitment to it. And here's what we're doing, right? We have this project that we're working on. And we decided on this project because it connects with our vision in this way. And then this is what we're doing. This is what the project, working on this project is like. And these are some of the results that we've had, right? So I hope that helps clarify that. All right, we're winding up. We got 6 minutes to go. So what then? Right? You've worked on these first 3 stories. We'll do some more. Right? You have a multitude of stories that you can tell, different commitment stories, lots of people and results stories, hopefully, if you're actually implementing your vision, or vision and action stories, catching staff and vendors and customers, right? Living the vision or helping you implement that vision, lessons learned stories and the backstory. So, right, do some more. Too many times a leader says of an organization, well, I told you the vision, what's the problem? How come you're not doing anything about it? Well, there are 3 rules of communicating a vision, and that is communicate, 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 right? That means do it often and often and often, right? People cannot get enough of these stories, and they need to hear them a lot in order for that vision to be that glue and that web and that light. So what next? Well, ask yourself, what vision stories could you be telling in your own sphere of influence at work, right? To whom and why? What value would sharing a vision story provide you? Sometimes you need to ask that question so that you are clear about why you're even telling this vision. And what presentations or opportunities do you have coming up where vision stories could be told? And what insights do you have? So, and I would ask you, right now in the chat box, what insight have you had about any of the material that I've been sharing with you today during our time together? And so you can go ahead and, put that, in the box. And, basically what we did today is we talked about what vision storytelling is and how to create one, stories you can tell for sharing a vision, 2 storytelling patterns, and next steps. That is the end of my work here, my presentation. I hope it provided some value for you. I'll take any comments, any insights you have, any questions that you have. And I want to leave you with one final thought. This is actually, part of a church window that is in England somewhere. I wish I could find it. And that is, work without vision is drudgery. But a vision without work that's just a dream. But when you have work and a vision together, they are the hope of the world. So I leave you with that final thought. Okay, questions, comments, insights, anything you want to share? I think we have maybe 1 or 2 minutes left.
Karen, it was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your vision on vision.
My pleasure.
So we are waiting for the questions from our audience. If we have any, I want to ask my own question, which you've probably heard by now. So it goes like this: the culture forms the stories we tell and live, but the stories shape the culture. So what went first, stories or culture?
Oh, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Yes. Right.
Of course. I'm keeping score.
Right. Well, in my book, you can always have a group come together, but without a vision, it's never going to coalesce into a connected body of people that can take action on something, right? And culture, right? You can have a culture that is loosely connected or strongly connected. And I think vision actually takes whatever state your organizational culture is in and actually, brings it up to the next level. So I always think that for entrepreneurs, when you're first starting out in creating a business, that having a vision is a key part to attracting people to you, right? And then that vision also helps form your culture as you grow. So 2 ways to answer that question.
As always.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We still have 1 minute. So one question from Tatiana, which I will translate. And if you can, please stay. And there is one question from Adel. So how can we unite people to connect with the vision that are outside of the company? Maybe to create our, personal surroundings, our personal community.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I think that's really all about marketing, but it's also what I've noticed is that when you're able to share those people and results stories with the community, right, through whatever mechanisms you have, advertising or blog posts or interviews or however you do your marketing, when you're able to share those stories, it is like an automatic attractor for people, right? And the great thing about stories that we know is that stories travel, right? So I may tell a story and then somebody will hear that and will tell 5 other people, right? Outside of your presence. You never know that that's happening, right? And that's called word of mouth marketing, and that's priceless. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. It's been lovely seeing you here and hearing you speak on the vision. And it's such an important topic. Thank you so much for joining us this year.
Thank you. My pleasure. I enjoyed myself and hope everybody does great. And there's at the end of the slides, right? Did people get the copy of the slides and the?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's how to reach me. And if you have any questions or comments, things that you want to share, please send me an email. I'd love it.
So there's one question in the comments in the chat. If you want to, you can type the answer in. But we will be moving forward to the next speaker. So
Great.
Karen, thank you so much once again.
Thank you.